I am here today with Bryan Byler, who is the CRO at Aptitude 8. Bryan, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Gunn. I appreciate it. Pleasure to meet everyone.
Yeah, so we are going to be discussing some changes that we're making internally with Aptitude 8's marketing and sales. And we just figured there would be some good insights here that may be applicable to members of our audience. And it feels good to just be a little transparent about how we're doing things because we talk about so much how people should do things.
Yeah, excited to share some findings, some learnings I think here we've had in 2025, in line with the building in public kind of trend that's become so popular these days. Excited to share some insights. I wanted to chat a little bit, Gunn, just some insights that we've learned here in Q1. So for anyone who doesn't know, Gunn heads up marketing here at Aptitude 8, and I lead sales and just work closely together. So I was hoping we could focus on some of those things. We've had some real insights here in the quarter. Where do you want to start?
I would love to just start with what Aptitude 8 has looked like historically, especially before the merger that happened at the end of last year with OBO, the other elite partner. Historically, Aptitude 8's marketing has been really pure demand gen. We did not focus much on lead gen at all. Pretty much the only form that was on our website was the contact us form. So any quote unquote MQLs that we were passing along were people that filled out the contact us form, were raising their hand to speak with sales, and that was keeping us extremely busy. In fact, sometimes too busy. Once the merger happened, company doubles in size overnight, that starts to change.
It's true. And I think a year ago, Gunn, you and I met on a pretty robust visionary marketing plan together with a lot of cool ideas to continue to take us up market. As business dynamics would have it, some of those things stuck and worked great, and others I don't think got much traction. And it's just so interesting how much the ecosystem has changed in the last year in us as a company, right? So something I've learned as a revenue leader is the things that work at 2 million don't work at 5, and 5 don't work at 10, and 10 don't work at 20 probably. And so we're just dealing with working with different prospects that have different buying cycles, different funnels, right? They buy differently, and it's really impacted how we market and also how we settle those prospects. So it's really forced us to be creative with some of our go-to-market motions, and also a little bit experimental. I know experimental marketing kind of fell out of style there for a while, but I think it feels like it's back, is what I would say, because we have to. And the businesses that are really growing and scaling are trying different things. They're being innovative. That's something that we've always done a good job, I think, at 8 is being innovative. But it's hard to be innovative in marketing because you have to be very intentional with your spends and with your human resources, which are limited.
Yeah, but despite it being more risky, it's essential to do it now because of the proliferation of AI. There's so much content that's pouring out. A lot of stuff is just being genericized. It's people are flooded with the same type of thing over and over again. So you have to do something to stand out. You have to take risks. And especially for a company like Aptitude 8, where we're simultaneously trying to grow the company as well as move up market in terms of the clients that we're servicing. It's untread ground for us and untread ground for most any HubSpot partner.
It's true. Yeah, there are at our scale now. I think we're one of the largest companies in the world in our space. Small compared to much larger companies, but in our
Yeah.
space, we're pretty big. We have X budget as a result of that, right? That's a benefit. But it's, again, I think it's just forced innovation. We're trying new things as a larger company. I would say the train needs more coal. The locomotive needs more fuel to drive the larger engine. And as a result of that, existing lead flow is insufficient, right? So we have to get leads from different areas. And that's including, and correct me if you disagree, Gunn, but we've always had this omni-channel approach. Social has always been a really strong thing for us. Maybe you're seeing this content on LinkedIn, or you've seen our LinkedIn content in the past. It's always been great for us. It's been a factor to get us to X scale, but now we're having to deploy even like traditional methods, just meeting people in different places. And I think meeting prospects where they are, right? In person, right? We're doing more events this year. We're getting together in person with folks. We're doing some outbound motions, which we historically haven't needed to do. Again, as a revenue leader, I'm thankful for having one of the best marketing teams in the business. We've been very fortunate, that we've had a great lead flow, even during times of economic uncertainty. we've had enough to feed the team here. Even with great inbound lead flow continuing, our sales team is starting to look at different motions we can do as salespersons to go out there, again, meet prospects where they're at, whether that's LinkedIn outbound, email outbound. No code calling yet. We haven't resorted to that. Who knows? So we're just looking at different kinds of motions. And I think the other thing is just trying to, again, meet our prospects where they are, because as Gunn said, with the emergence of AI, cold motions aren't working as well. People want to have real, authentic human experiences, and so that's what we're trying to recreate as an entire go-to-market team here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the idea of the engine needing more coal, because that feels really core to the work that I've been doing over the last couple of months. As I mentioned before, when we were pure demand gen, most of our marketing leads that were being passed to sales were coming through our contact us form. And because of that, we just didn't build out really any infrastructure around lead generation or nurturing. And now, as we've grown, we've started to do more generation. We've started to do more webinars where we're collecting attendee lists, and we didn't have the infrastructure to nurture those prospects and then hand them off to sales. So that's a big project that we are working on now. And the goal of that is really it's twofold. It's one is to own our own audience. So we've seen over the past year or so the organic reach that we're able to get on LinkedIn, primarily through our personal profiles, which historically worked really well. That's fallen substantially. I don't know what you're seeing, Bryan, but on my end, I would say my organic reach has probably fallen 80% in the last year.
Same,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing that from everyone. As I
Yeah.
talk to other partners in the ecosystem, it's been a challenging Q1, Q4 was challenging. And again, it's leads aren't in the same places, and the same things that worked last year or even 2 quarters ago are not having the same effect. Even social, man, my impressions are down significantly on LinkedIn. Maybe we need to do some short form video, which is, great what we're doing today. Another thing I've realized, Gunn, that's related is I've said in the past on the pod and some other stuff that Aptitude sometimes I feel like we're the plastic surgeons of the ecosystem, where if you're going to consult a plastic surgeon, you're there for a reason. Maybe I want my nose fixed. I broke my nose a lot playing sports. Maybe I'm going to get that addressed. I know what I want when I get there. I'm not going to the primary care doctor saying, hey, I can't smell or I have a hard time breathing. And it's a bit of a joke, but to your point about the organic demand gen, we've always had the luxury of Gunn. It's been clear, almost 90%, I think, in one quarter we looked at. And that's people who are coming to Aptitude because of our brand power, our reputation as one of the top technical partners. I'd like to say the top technical partner. So people know why to come to us in the first place, and they come directly to us. I think said differently, when we look at the buyer's journey, there's awareness, consideration, decision. They're just skipping consideration, right? Like they have an awareness of a problem, they go right to decision, which is to work with Aptitude. And that's been great. And it's been luxurious on the sales side. And now we're having to address that consideration stage, the middle of the funnel that Gunn's talking about there, right? Where we've got prospects coming in, and it's traditional marketing motions that we're deploying now that we in the HubSpot ecosystem maybe have never needed to, or we've gotten away without doing it. But it's fundamental things. As folks are visiting, many thousands of people visit our website. Maybe they're downloading our contents. We put out a lot of great content. They're downloading our ebooks and our webinars and our white papers and our primers. We put out a really good healthcare course a few months ago, got a lot of traction. And those are buyers that may not be ready to make the decision, but are still in that consideration phase. Now, they often do convert on their own. Just nurturing them, reaching out, and more active, I think, marketing and sales motions are new for us. But I'm excited to employ them this year. I think they're gonna lead to having a great Q2, Q3, and beyond.
With that in mind, I think we have a good amount, like a pretty substantial amount of people in our CRM that we could nurture if we built out the correct infrastructure there. So that's the big thing I've been working on. I'd love to share my screen and just walk through what our new MQL flow is. This is something that we're still in the process of working through and making as good as it can be before we roll it out to the team. This is something that is still in early phases, especially as it pertains to handoff to sales process. So you're really going to get some fresh reaction from Byler here. All right. So the goal here, once again, is to get more leads to sales that are warm leads. They're not people who have raised their hand and said, I would like to speak to sales. These are people that we are nurturing, that we are identifying as a good fit and also engaged, and hoping that once we hand them off to sales, they can take them that last yard that they need to be in order to make a decision. So what we're looking at here, this top part, enrollment, we're looking at really any sort of engagement in our marketing efforts. It's contact creation through forms, ad conversions, webinar attendance, really any way that you would convert through our marketing. We're using Breeze Intelligence to do some enrichment here. And this is a relatively new feature for HubSpot. They made that acquisition of Clearbit. They've integrated it into HubSpot itself. It's really early, I would say, in the process of how Breeze is being utilized, especially for enrichment. So in doing research on that, I found some interesting things. One is that you can separately enrich contacts and companies. That's pretty standard for an enrichment solution, but previously when HubSpot used company insights, they were just enriching the company record. There was no way within HubSpot itself to enrich contacts. So this is some net new functionality there that HubSpot's providing. And it does rely on credits to enrich people. But one of the really cool features that I'm not sure other enrichment programs are doing is that once you enrich a record once, it will continue to enrich and refresh that information with no additional use of credits, as long as you maintain that subscription to Breeze Intelligence. So they're making things like very efficient in terms of credit usage, which I think is really cool. Bryan, have you used any of the Breeze Intelligence features yet?
I have, yeah. I didn't know that it continued to enrich. I think that's pretty cool and a good value there. HubSpot's always good at creating value in their tools. Yeah, so we use it a bit on our team a little bit. Again, same things, enriching contacts. It helps us to, know who we're talking to going to that first call. We really like that for foundational company, contact information, and then we'll supplement that with like Sales Navigator as well. The Sales Navigator to LinkedIn it to HubSpot integration is great, the new one. So a combination of those gives the sales reps pretty good insights to enter a first call informed and be able to build rapport quickly with the prospects.
Yeah. And hopefully this information will help do more of that within HubSpot. One of the main reasons we're doing enrichment so early in the process and not like at deal creation, for example, is that we are implementing lead scoring. I'm sure if you followed me on LinkedIn, you've heard me talk about this before. But lead scoring is not just one score. It should be multiple different scores. And how we've broken it down here is the contact a fit? Are they in the right role? Are they the right seniority? Is the company a fit? Are they the right size? Are they in the right industry? And then engagement score, which is like, how are they engaging with marketing content? We've got stuff in here that gives more points for activity that shows buying intent. Visits to our services pages or case studies are going to get you a lot more than downloading an ebook. So that those ICP scoring, we're going to be able to, at the marketing level, disqualify people, make sure that we're not inundating sales with a bunch of people that are going to waste their times. Because I think historically, when marketing is held responsible for generating MQLs, that term MQL has been loosely defined in the past, I would say. And I've personally been in organizations where marketing has passed a ton of leads to sales. They're not very good quality. That breaks the trust between marketing and sales. Sales starts to believe that marketing leads are all garbage. And then that trust is really hard to claw back. Once marketing revises the process and starts doing more qualification, sales still doesn't trust it. And then marketing gets frustrated with sales. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy there that breaks things down. And we are trying to implement this in a really thoughtful way that avoids that.
Agree. Yeah, it's going to lead to those silos that we try and break down, right? HubSpot's so good about breaking down those silos between marketing and sales teams that feeding bad leads to sales is just going to result in them just artificially being recreated. I just want to double down on that big red octagon there, disqualify, right? And I see this missing from so many teams on lead scoring criteria. Lead scoring could say, hey, if they reach X score, qualify them, kick them to sales. That's cool. What if they don't, right? Or what if they take further actions that would lose points in a lead scoring model? So many companies don't take advantage of disqualifying them. It's not good to send bad leads to sales, as Gunn said, for a lot of reasons. It's just waste people's time. It's just inefficient more than anything else. Two, it's not good for the prospect, right? Because they're probably not ready to buy, right? And you may be hampering yourself. You may shoot yourself in the foot, said differently, on a potential future sale because they weren't ready. They're still in that consideration phase. The third thing that's going to happen is it's going to get you blocked and reported as spam, and it's going to harm your sender reputation, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lose-lose if you're not taking these out of the pocket. Just speaking specifically with HubSpot users, you pay for X number of marketing contacts. Like that person should be a marketing contact, right? If they're not engaged with the content. So just coming from a salesperson, just a reminder to keep that marketing contact list clean, up to date, refreshed, enriched with Breeze or whatever tool you're using for enrichment. That's going to send so much value. And it's a surprisingly low number of companies we consult with are actually doing that. So
I'm glad you brought up the idea of cleaning up your contact list. We just ran our entire contact list through Zero Bounce, an email verification service. And it's really good to do that regularly because I would say about 20% of your list goes bad every year. People change jobs. You accumulate a lot of spam. If you have forms on your website, just that you end up with a lot of stuff that is not quality marketing recipients there. So, in addition to disqualifying, making sure that you're doing some validation is absolutely key. We were able to remove about 5,000 contacts from our list. And when you're paying by the contact, that is a bunch of savings. When it comes to renewing HubSpot, we will have a significantly lower price.
love cost savings.
Yes. Okay. So to move forward, we talked about ICP scoring. If they don't meet that, they're getting disqualified. If they do meet that, then we're starting to look at that engagement score, which is going to give us information about are they actually showing buying intent? And if they're not, then that's where we kick them into a nurture program. And then it starts a cycle. We nurture them, that updates their lead score. We go back and evaluate that engagement score. Still not there. Let's nurture some more. And you are stuck in this cycle until your engagement score is high enough. And that's when we bump you to an MQL. These are not leads that they've attended one webinar. This is going to be a lead that has shown serious engagement with marketing and not just marketing resources that allow them to learn. They've shown interest in bottom of funnel resources like case studies.
Yeah, just speaking on funnel quickly there, Gunn, this is, I think, a mistake that organizations we consult with and I've seen happen too often is they don't address their funnel until it's too late. The funnel is always evolving. Currently, ours is fairly healthy, but it cycles by quarter oftentimes. And sometimes it doesn't cycle by quarter. But if your middle of funnel is pretty weak, it's already too late to start supplementing it, right? When you start to supplement top of funnel, it's going to take weeks, sometimes months to replace your mofo there. So I think just a reminder to always be monitoring your funnel, the stages your leads are at in the process, the stages your contacts are at in the buyer's journey. Invest in marketing and in sales and just your go-to-market initiatives before the well dries up. And I think that's just a friendly end of quarter reminder here for Q1 that if middle funnel is starting to look weak, now's the time to start making those investments and pulling those triggers so that your Q2 starts off pretty healthy.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Any changes you're making right now with 3 weeks left in the quarter on the marketing side, that's not going to help close deals by end of quarter, but it is going to set you up for success for Q2. All right, so moving on to the handoff, once we create an MQL, we want to give that to sales. And something I was thinking about very keenly when designing this process, historically, when someone fills out a contact us form, if they're a good fit, if they're asking to speak sales or get HubSpot services, we would go ahead and create a deal. It's a pretty early in the funnel deal, but it worked well for making sure that lead gets the right attention. When we're talking about leads that haven't filled out a contact us form, haven't done that hand raise, I don't want to be creating a bunch of deals for these contacts that are not at that level asking to speak to sales. We are starting to leverage the lead object in HubSpot. If you've used Salesforce before, that might give you a bit of an ick. You might have some preconceived notions about what the term lead means, and I think it's implemented particularly poorly within Salesforce. But I think HubSpot's been more thoughtful about how they've implemented that. And the way I think about it is in Salesforce, a lead is a pre-contact. It's something where you may not have an association with an account or a company. You might not have enough information to consider it a full contact. But once you do, you can convert it into a full contact. In HubSpot, a lead is more of a pre-deal. So you can create multiple leads that are associated to a single contact. You can create leads that are based on a company. So you can associate multiple contacts to a single lead. And then it makes it really easy to convert that lead record into a deal record by just moving it to a qualified stage. This works a lot better in terms of storing marketing qualified leads. One, we're not filling the deal pipeline with a bunch of unqualified deals. And two, it allows us to do tracking on multiple conversions. So we can go back and look at a contact and see, oh, this person MQL'd once, they were disqualified because it wasn't the right time or they didn't have the right budget. They MQL'd again, and then they were accepted. And that reconversion process is really hard to track when it comes to just using lifecycle stages or lead statuses, because that's good at showing you where they are right now. It's not good at showing historical activity.
It's true. Yeah, reconversions are always tricky to account for. So many people don't. Could we chat just for a second a little bit more about how Breeze is supplementing kind of our workflow here, Gunn?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting. So from an enrichment perspective, it's helpful there. And we're enriching in that we're doing two things right here. This is both, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the combination of both Breeze intelligence, also a little bit of the co-pilot there, at least on the sales side. So the intelligence is giving us the core data about the company. From a research perspective, from an ICP perspective, we've got some co-pilot motions supporting that. I just want to call out that we're using a couple components of Breeze to do that, not just the company demographics. That's one piece, but there's a lot more you can do with it beyond that.
Yeah, one of the coolest things about Breeze, I was testing this out with David, one of our AEs, because we have a call recording software that puts transcripts into the HubSpot deal record as a note. That gives you a lot of information that you're able to chat with Copilot about. So using that, David and I went into a deal record, and one of the things we like to pass along to our services team is the top 5 pain points that customer is experiencing. And you can take copious notes while you're going through the sales process, but Copilot makes it really easy because you can look back at every email, the transcripts of the calls, and you can basically just chat with that data through Copilot and ask Copilot, tell me what the top 5 pain points are based on the transcripts and emails. And it pops out like a quite accurate analysis of that. So I found that to be super cool and a big time saver.
Yeah, it's been great. We're used to having to use a variety of point solutions to do that. I think I use 3 or 4. It's nice to have them all in one place, natively in HubSpot. I think as every company is trying to incorporate AI into their tools in meaningful ways, HubSpot they did a great job of sticking to their crafted, not cobbled motto here, where it's built in, it's organic. I'll pick on Google here a little bit. On Gmail, it's always making contextual suggestions that I don't want. No, I don't need your help spelling Ryan's name. Compare that to, I think, HubSpot, where its contextual insights seem relevant. And I find myself clicking, yes, I would like that far more often. So that tells me it's probably in the right places at the right time in my user journey.
Absolutely. All right. I want to move forward to the end of the process here. We're using this lead record. Our A's are evaluating those leads, and then they either accept or reject them. So if they're rejected, they give a reason for that rejection. And then back up here, if they're a poor fit, if they shouldn't be considered a prospect again, we're going to, again, use that disqualify bucket and remove them as a marketing contact. If the rejection reason is just bad timing or they don't have the budget right now, then we can put them back into the nurture cycle after a delay and after resetting that lead score. So, we do a little more nurturing, we stay top of mind. And then when they are ready, when it's a good time or they have the budget, we are there. We are still somebody that's in their inbox that is staying in their view. And hopefully they do that reconversion, come all the way back to down here, and they're accepted. And then finally we create a deal.
Love to see it. And again, my first time seeing it here, team, feeling the moment with you. With regards to the lead object here in HubSpot, if you're not familiar with that, haven't used that, or you've been hesitant to implement that in your organization, drop a comment down below. Gunn and team will put out some really good content about how to use lead object, some best practices, some helpful videos. Happy to give those resources over to you. Implementing it for us, I think for me, at least in revenue, is super helpful because it gives me earlier insight into my funnel and activity that's actually useful and relevant. And I can see someone's progression far before I can hand it a cold, lukewarm, or hot lead. In some of the reporting you can do from it, it's been really beneficial for a go-to-market motion. So if you haven't adopted it yet, I encourage you to give it a good college try. And if you're unsure or would like some more resources, we've got plenty of content that we can share with you on that.
Yeah, the promotion of our content, we work very on that, and I'm glad it's appreciated on the sales team. All right, I think that about wraps this up. Byler, thank you for joining me. Thanks for talking through all this with me. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me.